I think for me, my confidence really comes from the fact that I am here to stay and create a statement that can echo through channels of history. And essentially, my gratification lays in knowing that I was able to inspire a whole one day, a whole new generation. I toured the world this many times. I made this clothing that then inspired that kind of design for people. I then went into social economics, what I mean, some form of politics. You know what I mean? It's knowing that you fucking matter, bro. And that value only incentivizes off that small fact. And that's your will at the end of the day. It gets that deep, bro, because you have to have these uncomfortable convos with yourself before you even enter this shit to know if you even qualified to even like put yourself in that position. Because if you put yourself in a hot seat, bro, and you don't know how to work it, you gonna look dumb.
Me and my brothers gon' run up a check like no other. I got it, I get it, respect. I just been underway under the covers. I'm facing my problems with every step. I just been on it, rolling up chronic, thinking iconic. Ay.
You're watching Loud Music Only. I'm your host, A.T Bianco, and today I'm excited that I get to chop it up with one of my favorite artists and producers. He brings a hungry energy to hip hop and a heavyweight champ mentality to his rhymes. He's coming off the release of his project, COCOTASO, and he's gearing up to release even more music throughout this year. His name is Lifeofthom. What's up, man? Thanks for joining the show today. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate you, Machi. How we doing, man?
Doing pretty good on this Monday afternoon. Run me through what your day's been looking like. I know you're probably running all over the place, working on releases. You said photo shoots. Talk to me.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I had this photo shoot with my boy, Photo Rob, man. He's a legend, man. He's done shot a bunch of stuff like for Prodigy, man. Done shot like, stuff for Joey Badass, man. Like, man, shit for like kind of, the legends, man. What I mean, Rakim, man, he's done a lot of legendary shit, man, Eminem. So, we was he actually shot. I met him through shooting when he was shooting the cover of my boy Lord Skull's album United Palace. And what I mean, since then we kind of like just got up today, for me, we got some cool shots and some cool media. Then at the same time I actually had a meeting with my day-to-day and then this other producer for this small like extended play that we're aiming to release, and then kind of working that while simultaneously on another meeting with the A&R that for this meeting we have tomorrow to kind of get the business right behind this small like media that we want to put out, and then kind of got into then the post convo with them, and at the same time I'm like scheduling like my sessions throughout the week, and then now I'm here at the studio. And now I'm actually finishing a mix for a record, for a demo purpose. And then, well, that's kind of been the day. And I mean, just a lot of admin work, just emailing, you know what I mean? Just like going over like the data and metrics and seeing, with my team, like, all right, guys, what else can we push here? What song's doing good? But yeah, that's been my day. Now I'm here with you. So let's go.
Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it. The first time I ever saw you perform was last May at Baby's All Right. It was for the Off Rip show that On the Radar did.
Yep.
With Kai.
Yep.
And that was such a special show. Anyone who was in the building that night just could see the magic of a lot of artists coming up there. And excuse me, I noticed that when you're up there on stage, you have just a bunch of like raw energy that you harness. Some of your music and some of your older music is you have a good variety of kind of like chill rhymes, but also showing the emotion and the raw energy. What's that like bringing it to life on stage, even when maybe sometimes people in the crowd like don't necessarily like know your music or whatnot? How do you kind of keep that same energy? Because I loved your performance that night.
Wow, man. Yeah, no, I think it's realizing that like right now y'all are meeting me right fucking now. And right here, this is the experience you will take home with you. And this is, the predicate that sets like, do I fuck with this guy? Or do I continue moving on like all the other music I listen to daily? And I think that's something I'm never just thinking of, but I know I've had those impact from so many artists myself. So I just know the more energy I give out, the more I'm gonna get back. It's fucking physics, bro. So like, also take my job very fucking seriously. So like I'm gonna make sure I work that crowd and I stand out and I'm loud. And it's not to be over this person or under, this goal me. It's just to be as loud as I can. And I know my mission statement in that stage is pretty much where it shines the best and the most raw. Feel me?
I want to kind of get back into some of your roots as
Yes.
just a person for that matter. So, if you can and if you're willing, talk to me about your upbringing, where you grew up, and like what things did you do outside of music that maybe inspired creativity in your young life?
Always love this question because always getting to dig into the past is always so nice, man. Yeah, I mean, well, I'm from Washington Heights. It's uptown Manhattan. For me, like, growing up there is, it's nothing but Dominican and fucking like mad Jewish people and like mad like Puerto Ricans and like you know what I mean? But mainly, as the years have progressed, it's like now turned into like little Dominican Republic or what they call it. All of that was like going down the street, man. It's damn near like street vendors everywhere. So that would keep my awareness open. Like, oh wow, there's all these different things. Like, oh shit. And then like, there'd be like all my favorite eats in one of my favorite restaurants or maybe multiple of them because they were only blocks away. So that helped me understand like, like, oh shit, like wow, like you know, flavors everywhere. Taste is, it's only a cup, it's only at arm's reach. And then, kind of like, music, man, like, my mom would be playing like Luda and would be playing Hove and would be playing, L and she'd be playing, Big, but what I mean? She was also playing like T.I. and like, we also listening to like Alicia Keys and then we listening to Juan Luis Guerra, and then we listening to like, Miguel, and then we listening, to like feel me, just more traditional bands, man, from being, what I mean, like, being Latino for me. And so, I think those things as I got older, feel me, just like with like, the music, from, the roots and then, just like more the hip hop stuff and then just seeing like, the culture around like, the heights kind of just like made me really like kind of just embrace this thing like, oh wow, like this is actually like very special. And as I grew up, I became an amalgamation of my environment. You know what I mean?
Through hearing you talk about all of this, it sounds like that you obviously you're a big observer of where you come from and your environment, and that makes you who you are. But you seem to approach music with like a bit of like a sports athlete mentality as far as the
Facts.
preparation goes, and I respect that. And that kind of carries into my next question of are you a sports fan? What did you grow up watching that kind of just like ignites the life of Tom in you?
I can say to the fact I love sports, bro, and I grew up playing basketball. I grew up playing baseball. I grew up playing some soccer, from, junior high to high school. And like those things, that was like my love for sports. It wasn't really in like the new 2K game that came out or like, the Spurs versus the Heat. Shouts 2012. That was crazy.
That was a
You know,
crazy finals.
that's crazy. But like, yeah, bro. But I think what it does ignite is like that player mentality. Like, yeah, get your head in the game. Like, word, for me, they don't care about you, Steve Nash. Got it. All right, cool. You know what I mean? Gonna shoot these threes back to back. I see, you know what I mean? C3, I bet. Word, going, you know what I mean? Like, get that shit in the fucking, hoop. All right, LeBron, like, you know what I mean? Like, let's go. Like, I'm feeling it. Though, you know what I mean? That's kind of like my relationship with sports, in that way. I am motivated by the players, though.
I'm sure you kind of carry that over to the business aspect of things too, which I'm very
Yes.
impressed that you show on your social media, whether it's like kind of taking a picture of whatever label meeting that you're approaching and talking
Yes.
about how you're growing as an artist. Talk about that experience and being in rooms with execs or A&Rs and how
Yeah.
you've been learning to maneuver that space and just really be your biggest advocate.
Yeah, wow. I mean, the thing is like, when you're moving, the business essentially is the other tail end of the artistry. And in that, it's personal because business is personal. So it's like you got to make everything matter. And like, me, I'm someone that's kind of been aiming to stand out in that independency, and that kind of requires you taking those. You have to capture the story, the narrative. That's what you're selling. You know what I mean? So you're selling these marketers, you're selling this press, it's what you're selling, essentially to these banks, these loans. We're just Targets and Walmarts and GameStops and Sephora's and all these different corporations, and we're all battling to have, not the same spot, but to be the brightest, the loudest. So it's like I want to, know that it goes towards my best incentive business wise to take the picture of me being at Columbia today. Take this picture of me at that shoot because that's showing one, essentially the people that want to move to that next level and a partner with you that, oh, he working, he not playing. But two, it's just like, bro, you want to show your followers that, bro. Like you want to show them, you know what I mean, that like, bro, I'm really out here in the flesh and like you can do it too. And that's, true business is being able to inspire wealth in others, bro. Like that's like it's like that's the end goal ultimately. So yeah.
Talk about knowing your worth being in those meetings.
Wow. Oh my God.
And I'm sure that's like a big thing like, personally that you think about, kind of you're walking into those meetings with leverage that
Yeah.
you've grown by yourself. So
Yep.
talk about
Yep.
knowing your worth and just kind of also maneuvering that space, maybe also too with a day-to-day manager
Yeah.
and the things
Yeah.
you've learned through that.
Nah, all the way. I mean, you got to be confident, bro. Like you needed your new worth is known by being as confident in your truth and being yourself and fucking sticking to that, bro. That's what these people want to see because there's longevity and there's a long haul, but then there's also a small, there's also a short run of things, and that all goes in par with your character, your personality, just like where you really sing your vision in this. And I think for me, my confidence really comes from the fact that I am here to stay and create a statement that can echo through channels of history. And essentially, my gratification lays in knowing that I was able to inspire one day, a whole new generation. I toured the world this many times. I made this clothing that then inspired that kind of design for people. I then went into social economics, I mean, some form of politics. You know what I mean? It's knowing that you fucking matter, bro. And that value only incentivizes off that small fact, and that's your will at the end of the day. It gets that deep, bro, because you have to have these uncomfortable convos with yourself before you even enter this shit to know if you even qualified to even like put yourself in that position. Because if you put yourself in a hot seat, bro, and you don't know how to work it, you're gonna look dumb and you're gonna look stupid. More than that, you might get discouraged, you might get jaded, man. And as granted, like this sounds like it's all simple, but like it's like, like this one meeting I had, man, when I was at like Atlantic like 3 weeks ago, bro. They were like, bro, it's not that not every artist can't think like this. It's just like it takes a lot of string of events to get you here and to be able to even speak to you like this. You know what I mean? You gotta go through a lot of humiliation, bro. You gotta go through a lot of, you know what I mean? A lot of firsthand experiences where your hand is on it. It was no one else's. Why? Because it's your dream. And I think that's what kind of shapes out this whole, you know, how confident, how much I feel my worth in these rooms. You know what I mean? And the more you do that, the more, leverage you have to feel that and actually, you know what I mean?
I want to get into talking about COCOTASO. That was one of my favorite projects
Yeah.
of the past year or so. So and then I know you worked on it with Stoic, a producer,
Yes.
a friend of
Grammy
yours.
winner,
Yeah,
man.
Grammy Award winning on what
Yes.
Bullfrog was it? Right?
Yeah, Bullfrog.
Bullfrog.
Yep,
And
yep.
I was very happy to see that he had won that, and I'm sure that you could refer to him now when you see him, Grammy Award winning producer Stoic. So talk about the meaning of COCOTASO, just simply the title, and maybe
Yeah.
what's your creative vision behind bringing that project to life.
Yeah, COCOTASO, man. Funny, Stoic was kind of the one that came up with the idea, man. The name itself. Me and him both having Puerto Rican heritage. You know what I mean? Cocotazo is significant to, smack. Like, I'm gonna give you a cocotazo right now. You gotta behave your ass, like sit down. And that's something my moms will always threaten with me with as a kid on my aunts. So, you know what I mean? It's kind of like head crack material. So, we kind of thought it'd be so fucking cool to make 7 really great, good songs really good songs, and it's not about thinking commercial or underground or standard. We know what good songs sound like. Let's make them. And I think the combination of just like, even the cover art like done by Skelly with like half the brain cracked open, but then a plant that signifies the growth. That sometimes you got to shed a little bit to grow a little bit, man. It's just how it fucking goes. But at the same time, you still be stubborn, to the same things. That's kind of like the meaning of COCOTASO, man. It's a venture, through, grassroots and kind of feeling yourself, through that involvement, you know what I mean? And now just seeing that, like, I'm always going to deliver the best, and I'm gonna make sure it's a slap right across your mata, you know what I mean? And that came about quick, man. We did that album, what, fucking last Ramadan, bro, March 2024, son. Like, I fasted that whole month. I remember I put out a record with Dash. Shout out Static Selector. He put that shit up on Show Off, and all at the same time, I was all happy. And I was working on another album with my boy all at the same time. So it was really cool, man. It was just real timing. My pen switched up around the time too. Not anything crazy, It was just like a small nudge in the way I approach things, and it made me a better writer, and it very much elevated my career. Shout Stoic, man.
One of my favorite moments off of Cocotazo was on Madman.
Oh,
I thought it was very unique. Just simply saying the words like "Don't say nothing to me, stupid."
stupid.
I felt like I was there with you, like you joking around about something, like, and I think like stretching out your words at certain parts of songs in a little bit of a melodic manner kind of goes a
Yes.
long way with making a track fun. So
Yes.
maybe talk about if you're in the booth, whether you have a few lines written or you're freestyling, getting some ideas together.
Yeah.
How is it collaborating with someone else in the studio? Like, do you double check? Are you like saying like, how's this sound, or do you just kind of like run with it with a line like that in Madman? Like, what was that bringing like that to life?
Yo, well, man, oh my God, Man was like, me and Stoic, man, like we kind of like we're like we need the one commercial song on this joint that could like really have a great increase, like just metric wise, and just like this that one song we know that can just get like 2-3 thousand plays every day, crack that Discover Weekly, smack that algo. And I think the thing I'm understanding when it's making records is also understanding there's a business to that, bro. Like when you are in the recording industry, you have to also think about the music business at the same fucking time. And when you're really making these records, it's not that your records are shaping out what needs to make sense for the business of the music. It's just you just fucking like you just get it. You know what I mean? You just get it. And like me and Stoic listening to these other records that are doing so well, from like, like different influences of guys like, yeah, like a fucking, I don't know, Overcast or like Mavi or like, Mike, man. Like, we're watching how, we're just listening with people how they shit, going through. So kind of taking inspiration of like, oh, word. Okay, slow down a little bit. Okay, maybe, a little lazy rap. Okay, more substance. Keep the lyrical there. Feel me? And for Madman, that was kind of like that in between for us where we, felt we kind of like hit that really, really nice. And, it's memorable, that stretched out nothing me. People love that. Every show I play, bro, I don't got to say nothing. They just screaming at me. You know what I mean? Like, and that all comes from having these background workings, mentally that you just like me and Stowe just put together. And I think now it's so ingrained. And I'm not saying like, bro, you got to start thinking of business and this, that, and the third when you're making songs. But it's like when you're already in it, you know what I mean? Like your mind just kind of adjusts naturally to understanding the curve of what not only a good song will entail for this scale, but knowing that it also you think of these other things, and that adds leverage to like that song potential too, man. You know what I mean? It sounds a little crazy, but it's so simple, man.
One of my favorite records also of last year was Out My Head featuring your boy Yoshi T.
Yes.
And I'm just curious on how that one came to life. What's the inspiration behind that one? Because that one's still in my rotation, and I could tell that like that and Madman had a lot of replay value and like kind of commercial success. I love the visuals surrounded by that. So just maybe talk about bringing that to life to visually as well.
Out My Head is seriously one of my favorite records. I do a lot of my shit with my boy Ruby, Ruby Hernandez. Though I also work with like, a couple to like a select few different other guys on the visuals. And I love the visuals so much because like they really help me like yeah, visuals is essentially just the connection between like, oh, this is cool to like, oh, I'm in this now. I feel this person. And I'm always been like a big movie guy and always been spearheading like a bunch of like these treatments and shit by myself. Yeah. Yeah, nah. I think for Out My Head, that was something that kind of came about through this kind of like we wanted to do like a therapy actual session and really get it rent an office and like really get like some cool shit, you know what I mean? But we had to DIY it a little bit, get a cool space. And I think a lot of visuals is what helped separate me from just like he's just this kind of artist. Like, nah, this motherfucker different, you know. And I always tell people that like, yeah, I'm always doing my treatments. I'm always getting the producer, I'm always getting the gaffer, the DP, I'm always getting the analog, the digital. Um, you know, definitely takes world building, but like that's what we want. We want a fantasy, the fans can step into them and feel seen and a part of as well. And that's community. And that's, that essentially is kind of what helped me really bring those visuals to light, with COCOTASO and not only Out My Head, but like joints like Who and even like OMG and shit, man, really capturing that character, man. And I think that shit right there, bro, once again, when it's done from the artist, is so much stronger. It's no different than like when I'm at the labels and I'm working my pitch at the majors. They want to hear from me, not fucking you or you, me. You know what I mean? It's just more. It's got more. What's the word? It's more physical to it, man. Like it feel more. You know what I mean? Like there's way more reach there for surely.
A song that I had just or a video that I had recently seen on your YouTube was a freestyle you did over Claro's Terrapin.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
and I instantly wanted to talk to you about that while I, saw you in the bathtub and you were rhyming in each
Huh?
scene. And I was thinking to myself when I had first heard that song, like, oh, I could definitely hear remixes of rappers because obviously she's not a rapper, but she loves rap music.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
talk
Yo,
about like your Claro inspiration there.
Yo, it was crazy because when I was like thinking of it, I was in the studio with my boy Heno, and he was talking about this crazy experience he had with JPEG and her, where and like him talking about that, I was just noticing like, oh, so she dead be hanging out with rappers, like okay, word. And I think honestly, it was really just like a combo of like indie raps, bro. Like it's a good conversion, man. You know what I mean? It's just like a good splice, bro. At the end of the day, like Tyler put that shit out, bro, and changed the whole landscape. Like now everybody want to hear that Tyler shit. They want to hear more of the creative. All right, well, you know what I mean? I got a whole 3, 4 projects like that in my Untitled right now. It was nothing for me to get that beat from Stoic. Stoic sent that beat to me way earlier when she dropped Terrapin. I remember he was one of like the first people that sampled that shit. It went up on TikTok and it caught a little viral moment for a second. But yeah, man, I love the alt shit, bro. Alternative is me, it is who I am, and to be able to bridge both worlds together just shows like this is me and y'all, you know what I mean? If I could make another 10 of these, I will, you know what I mean? But yeah, that was kind of like the motivation behind that, man. Shout out Claro. The album is fucking beautiful. And to more alt raps, indie raps, whatever the case is, like to just bending, the sound and kind of giving it a little like twist, man. There's nothing better than experimenting and it sounding good.
Now, who are some like other artists, whether it's up and coming, more established, whatever it is, that might be viewed as like an unorthodox collab with you? Like, is there anyone that's outside of the box that you're really wanting to work with?
A little unorthodox. It's crazy because I've been so much in my field for a long time. I always thought of unorthodox, but then when I started to make so much sense of things, it's like I kind of been working with what's in front of me in real time. But like, I would say like orthodox, bro. Wow, it'd be so fire if I could get one solid hook for her, man. Adele.
Oh,
Oh my God, bro. That'd be fire. If I get that set it on fire, man. If I could get that Adele, bro, like, yo, like, yeah. And I mean, all right. And then like just because Adele has done something with rap before, I would say something not rap for real, for real, for real, for real, would probably have to be these guys called the Cavemen. Um, yeah, from South Africa, man. They're really dope. Yeah, I think I could make something cool with those guys.
Okay. Yeah, no, you put me on a little bit there, so I'll have to go check out their music and I'll be
Yeah,
looking
yeah, they're
forward.
dope, man. A two-man band over in South Africa, and they're big right now. They're going crazy, man.
So, as you're getting ready to go out on the road, maybe test out some new music, first, I want you to talk about some of the new music that you're getting ready to release over the next few months to
Yeah.
6 months, even.
I got this album right now I'm working on with Powers Pleasant and my boy Plain Pat.
Woo, those are two heavy, heavy, heavy names in
Yeah,
hip
yeah,
hop.
yeah.
I loved Powers Pleasant's project he dropped. I think it was this
Yeah,
past
Life
year.
Sucks.
Yeah, life that was crazy,
It was
crazy.
really good. It was really
Um,
good this thing with that.
talk about working with those two heavy hitters, if you will,
Yeah.
and what your vision is, for that project and what it's like working with them.
Oh man, wow. Well, working with Powers is really dope. He's someone we've been doing most of our work remotely, but yeah, we actually knew each other from like years ago. And then he actually reached out to me to get on his show this past October. For Life Sucks, where we opened up, I was able to open up for him, Denzel Curry, ASAP Ferg, um, Joey Badass popped out with some of the Prodies, man. It was cool. I had a lot of people, performing on that bill that day. And then from there, we just locked in on remote work and sending it back and forth. And, you know, been a good build on that end. He's really receptive. Me and him are, we're in business with like, some people in different scales and stuff. So that's really nice to, brings things home. And then with Plain Pat, bro, he's like my fucking like he's like my mentor, bro. Like he's like everything, bro. Like I fucking love that guy, man. Working with him is so warm and it's like really rich because you have the value of this guy that's like worked with goats like fucking like, Kanye and like Cuddy and, you know, fucking even dudes like Marlon Craft and what I mean, like, on a lot of different, songs from Drake and what I mean, just like list goes on, bro. You know what I mean? And it's really it's very full circle. And I think what's dope with Plain Pat, he's very much of a he's a tastemaker, his ear. They say you don't have like that man got a specific ear for a reason. So it's cool because he had me double back up on some things, check some stuff. And then with Powers, it's almost like, bro's always just like, yo, I think like, he's kind of got like an understanding things in this way that's like a little more in his way where it's like, yo, like, all right, well, I think you could do a little, better on this hook, make it a little more raw rather than saying this. And mind you, I haven't worked with Powers in Pleasant, so Powers in person, so I can't really like speak fully on the experience, from that end. But everything like remotely has been super sleek, man. Just like really smooth, bro, and straightforward. You know what I mean?
And these producers, they don't work with just anyone, too. And so I'm sure it's flattering that someone like Playing Pat takes the time, to work with you and to help you get better on your craft too as well. Can I just also ask, like, is there a favorite, Plain Pat song that you have or Power song that is just always in rotation that you think
Uh,
of when you work with them?
Well, Powers, man, definitely gonna have to see the Ain't No Way joint that he produced for Denzel Curry, where he had like Black Rico, Jid, and then like some other people. That beat is crazy.
Crazy,
He's crazy.
crazy.
It's crazy. And then with Pat, man, oh my God. I think easily Life of Pop. I actually gotta look this one up real quick. It was Life of Pablo. I think it was maybe um I think it was Ultra Light Beam? I think it was yeah, Ultra Light Beam, man. But like there was like fucking eight other dudes on there. I would definitely say on a kid named Cuddy, honestly, goddamn every fucking beat on that product, bro. That shit
Yeah.
was fucking crazy, bro. Like, what? Yeah. And I think about these things and I'm like, holy shit, like, word, fuck, we here. Let's go. Like
Yeah.
my shit gonna be like eventually next to those too. You know what I mean? With something. You know what I mean? So yeah, 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 for surely.
Now, knowing all that knowledge about those collabs and stuff, do you take the time to talk to him about his experiences working with other artists to pick up game on
Oh
other
yeah,
things? Like,
of
what are some
course.
cool stories maybe you've heard? Like, what's that like?
Well, with discretion advised, and without saying nothing crazy,
Of
uh,
course.
he told me about the Hollywood, not the Hawaii trip, when when Ye was doing My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Um, and yeah, he flew out the whole team for like 5, 6 months, like half a year, and they spent on that fucking island, like working relentlessly to get that album done. He said the shit was fire. He said it was dope, man. A lot of taught him a lot about just like, structural organization, and it was like a surreal experience, you know what I mean? And then, just like even like the stuff like we like old tapes, he used to do, when he was like, what I mean, like, when he was running around, doing just like, just like managerial stuff, over like back at like Def Jam and shit like that, man. Like, feel me? It'll be really cool just to see the way he talks about it, because you can tell, like, wow, this guy loves this shit. Like he speaks as if this shit happened just yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, it's so fire, bro. So fire. And I take that shit and I'm like, wow, whoa, fire. Like, let's add to that same, memory with even more, Pat. Let's go. You know what I mean?
I love to talk to artists and wrap up an interview manifesting some goals that you
Yes.
have. So I want you to just take a moment, be really present with yourself, and manifest some things that you want over your next year, not only for your music, but for your personal life as well, because I think that balance is important too.
Wow, man. I mean, I definitely want to see this album with Plain Pat come out, man. I definitely, want to be able to get, like the business is looking positive for a lot of things right now. So I want to see those things come full circle. Want to be able to do like my own 2, 3, headline stop in the own year. Want to be able to, kind of just like, you know, uh, keep putting out records and, receiving just good, like, you know what I mean? Just good rapport, man. Want to be able to, see an increase in the earnings, see an increase, in all like the data across the board by times three. Want to be able to, like even, like, start having combos for like a pub, like maybe on the production side of things, since I am a producer, and, like actually like start getting the, those rooms with those bigger names, and just like kind of moving, the business, and my creative at similar forefronts, and, becoming getting close to becoming a household name, and at least that, that push, and really knowing that I'm making that for myself, and seeing that that's, I've replicated the machine this much as possible, as I am independent, I am not signed, and knowing that I'm literally inches to close to really having now the next addition to the story, and the next partnership to really taking the career, further up its trajectory. And knowing that just comes from a lot of fucking work.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that. Putting out into the universe, and I'll return right back to you. Thanks for filling me in, and I'll be looking
Yeah,
out
yeah.
for those new projects. So, to everyone at home, this has been our interview on Loud Music Only with the one and only Life of Tom. Go listen to COCOTASO if you haven't, and
Yo,
be on the lookout for all his
yeah.
new music. And if he comes to a city near you, go catch him live, because
Come
it
check
is
us out on
quite
tour, man.
the experience. Life of Tom, thanks for your time today, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother, man. Yo,
Signing out. This has been Loud Music Only. I'm your host, A.T Bianco. Thanks for watching today.
Allah.